morning. Here we are, saying alive. Very nice to be back after quite a long time. I don't know when I last led morning meditations. I try to do a week every month, but it's been a few months. I've taught a lot of retreats over the summer, been on the road the last few weeks, seen some of you, quite a lot of you, on retreat in various places. Nice to see some of your names here this morning. Yeah, saw a few of you on Saturday as well at the day of practice. So, welcome. Wherever you are and however you are, here we are. And that sense of, welcoming each other. That's what I appreciate in the chat box there, right? The way you welcome each other. So, as you sort of enter into this big world-spanning Dharma hall that we have here, a lot of you, and I see your names, a lot of you I know well. A lot of you have been here at Sangha Live very regularly for some of you, quite many years. But also, some of you, no doubt, might be here for the very first time. So if this is the first time and you're just showing up for some morning meditation, then please feel especially welcome. Please feel free to just mention in the chat that you're here for the first time. And others can also make you feel welcome. And just a reminder of the format, maybe for myself as much as you, as I haven't been here for a while. And we take sort of 10 minutes in the beginning for a little bit of orientation, some reflections that I might give on a kind of meditative approach or attitude to a theme, something that serves as a kind of ramp into meditation practice for us. And so then we'll have about half an hour of meditation, during which I'll give a little bit of guidance, some days more, some days less. And at the end, there'll be some time left over for questions you might have. And so that part's interactive. And if there are themes standing out in your life, in your contemplations, in your meditation, in something that I've said during the morning, just a chance to kind of check in and explore. So please feel free to make use of that when the time comes towards the end. All right. Okay, Ellis is here for the first time, and yeah, we saw each other last week, Ellis, on retreat in Gaia House. Good. And Liz is here, not quite for the first time, but first time after a long time. And so welcome, Liz. Nice that you're with us again. Yeah. And maybe others will show up in the chat like that. So there's a kind of, I think there's a theme for this month actually, which is kind of embodied presence, or kind of like being here in bodily life, which on the one hand is such a basic theme of meditation, but actually it's one that's often overlooked. This dreaded word mindfulness easily gives us an overly kind of mental impression actually of meditation. As if we're doing something with our mind, which we are, but not apart from body. And actually that sense of it's like you can't really do anything useful with your mind in terms of understanding, training. If you want to train your mind, if you want to understand your mind, and if you actually want to transcend your mind, that means have a sense of reality and of consciousness that is bigger than just your own world of thoughts and impressions and feelings and etc., then you can't do any of that really. Not in any kind of sustainable way without being first settled in a kind of sensory immediacy, like, oh, I'm here, my experience is here, and that we can rest in that, in the sense of therefore not trying to do anything or to get anywhere. And then the working with our minds just has a sort of a quality of more ease, more spaciousness, more settledness. It's therefore much more potent and effective. So there are a few themes that I wanted to explore. And when I was asked for a specific theme this week, I gave the theme of complexities and contradictions, and just navigating some of the contradictions that arise in meditation. And I had thought of one for this morning, but I've changed my mind as I speak. So having given that kind of introduction, I think the contradiction we might focus on is the mind-body contradiction, right? Which experientially there is no mind-body contradiction, but oh, how we make up a mind-body contradiction in all kinds of ways. Even the idea that there is a mind and there is a body, right? Which of course makes sense to us in many ways, but kind of, if I'm a body and I'm a mind, well, how can I be both? Am I the body or am I the mind? Or am I both? What's both? Would that be a split personality? Or am I neither? In which case, what else am I if I'm not mind and I'm not body? Those sort of reflections, right? Or am I somehow is me, the sense of self, somehow the owner of mind and body? Those kinds of questions are really the answers seem so, on the one hand, we can't quite find any precise answer. And yet, on the other hand, they seem very obvious. It's me. So we kind of invite ourselves to go into that contradiction, right? To put down ideas of body and mind and actually enter into the feeling of being here. This field of sensation. Right? Kaya Sankara in Buddha's language, in Pali, this field, sensation, vibration, perception, seeing, hearing, all just going on. And then, of course, this field, sensory field of breathing, field of bodily sensation, is also a Chitta Sankara. It's also a field of mental and emotional happenings, mind states and emotions and thoughts, etc. And you start to realize that there's only one field. Of course, it's helpful. So we say body when we're referring to physical experience. We say mind when we're referring to cognitive or imaginative or discursive experience. We might say heart when we're referring to emotional experience. But fundamentally, where we live, right, we don't live in a body, we don't live in a mind, and we don't live in a world, which are our normal 3 reference points for reality, right? Body, mind, world. This is what's happening in my body, this is what's happening in my mind. I look around, this is what's happening in the world. So where do we live fundamentally, if not in any of those 3 places? Because let's face it, you can't live in 3 places at once. If you try to be in it, right, you can't be. Now where we live is here. We live in this field of experience. And we can delineate this field of experience in many different ways, like those 3, our body, mind, world. And nothing wrong with that. Of course we're going to speak in those terms. But what if, and that's where we'll head in meditation, what if we drop our delineations and we just enter. We let our attention gather and settle and enter into this field of experience in a way which, on the one hand, kind of dissolves, and yet on the other hand, which really unites those three fields: body, mind, world, or body, heart, mind, world, if you like. We can keep delineating in all kinds of ways. But that's my invitation this morning to you, is into a practice that lets the delineations both soften and merge and unite. One field, unified field. No body, no mind, no world, no self, no problem. This. So please, take your seat, wiggle your bum, get comfortable a little where you are. Sit in a way that's steady and grounded, and yet also upright, dignified, awake. And it's like this then that we practice together. So, as we enter into meditation, please really use the felt sense of your posture. Use just the feeling of body sitting, as if it were like a kind of magnet drawing your attention. As if your attention can kind of really enter into and settle and sink into just the feel of body sitting. Letting your attention settle in a way that both enters into the physical sensations of sitting, and which also softens or relaxes those sensations. So that your attention has a feeling of being relaxed, and yet also bright. And there's this sense then of your attention kind of soaking in to this field of sensation, this bodily life, soaking in like gentle rain might soak into the earth. Soaking in to this breathing body. might be helpful to have a focal point for gathering your attention. And if so, let that be down in your belly, the lowest place where you can just feel the movement of breath. That sense within your lower belly as if there's a kind of center of gravity to your physical experience. As if somehow it's down here in your belly that there's this kind of magnet pull, drawing your attention in and down, drawing your attention into a sense of steadiness and ease. And embodied presence. Settling your attention down in your breathing belly. Keeping your practice that simple for now. So that even if your attention keeps shooting off or following some thought stream, getting lost or distracted in some way, that's okay. Don't make a fuss when you notice that. Just gently reorientate your attention down into your belly, down into your breath. And attention that's both relaxed and bright. Just like this. And see if you can let this settling your attention into your breathing belly be as natural as possible. You're not forcing in any way. And just gently cultivating this sense of relaxed, bright awareness, soaking into and lighting up this field of bodily experience, this world of breath and other sensations. Letting awareness suffuse the experience of body. When we settle our attention like this into what we might call the body field, right? It's a field of breath and sensation. As our attention becomes more settled, more sensitive, we notice more subtle sensations. We notice little tensions and allow them to soften. And we also notice that this field of sensation is equally a field where wow, my computer just fell. Maybe you heard that. Sorry if it. Wow. All right, well, no damage here, but it made rather a loud noise. So maybe that stimulated some sudden sensations in the body field, and some sudden activity in the mind field. So let's just take a moment to just, if that noise was a shock, I don't know how loudly it came out through my mic. But if it startled you, maybe you can feel the residue of that now. You can feel the way in which the body is little, the sensations have gotten a little more fizzy or electric in some way. So let's just stay with that. That's what's happening. If you're a little settled, if your attention's a little settled, you can see how just allowing those sensations and just not being reactive just allows those sensations to kind of cool out rather naturally. And like I was saying before the computer fell, we start to sense this field, which we've been calling body, this field of breathing and sensation and sounds, is also the same field where thoughts, impressions, ideas, images arise. Like, one field, single field, unified field. And so even though ideas of body and mind and world and self and inner and outer might continue to happen, no, just let them be ideas. Just let them be little moments fizzing away in this unified field of experience. And just keep allowing or encouraging our attention to settle into, to suffuse itself into this field. So there's a sense of just a field of experience illuminated by awareness. this field of experience inhabited by awareness, lit up by awareness. This field of activity, sensation and vibration and tingling and changes in temperature and movement of breath and sounds and thoughts and impressions. A field of activity which can also be a field of non-reactivity. A field that's spacious, open, relaxed, inviting, bright. Field of steady presence. Field of open-heartedness. A field of welcoming and allowing the passing of each moment. And these last moments then of the sitting, see if you can let this whole field of experience be kind of soft, soft edges and soft textured, so that even if there's something unpleasant, some uncomfortable sensation, some unwelcome thought, there's some kind of taste or feeling of, we might call it non-reactivity, or we might call it allowing, or we might just call it love. A kind of field of caring for and responding to and allowing things to be the way they are. Allowing bodily life to be like this, allowing the impressions and thoughts of mind to be like this, to allowing the sounds around you to be as they are. A sense of a one unified field of experience, coloured by presence, tenderness, ease, openness. And letting this be the taste of meditation that we close the session with. This taste of a field of experience suffused with awareness. So then when you hear the bell and when you start to adjust your posture and raise your eyes and all. In other words, when you start to include movement and seeing in your field of experience, just to see if there can be some sense, even though seeing is such a dominant sense that starts to reinforce inner and outer, etc. Oh, just seeing if you can hear the bell, raise your eyes, allow seeing to appear in this unified field, allowing movement to happen, while your experience still has a taste of being flavoured with, inhabited by awareness. All right. So, that was meditation. Little time left for questions, explorations arising out of your practice that you'd like to bring forward. Please feel free. And before that, let me say, it seems like a couple of you had some sort of tech issues. I think they, unless George has something else to say, I think those things must have been on your side. Everything here, like my upload connection and speed is good. The platform is working fine. So, more than that, I don't know, unless George can weigh in with anything else to do with the tech. And then, before questions, just let me remind you, on behalf of Sangha Live, how all of this works, which is that it's all freely made available. And it's made so on the basis of dana, right? The basis of mutual kind of support, generosity, appreciation. So there's no charge for participating here. But of course, that doesn't mean there's no costs. There's a lot of costs. There's a lot of costs to keeping this going. And as Sangha Live increases its offerings and the scale of operations in various ways, the costs actually are increasing. But unfortunately, the amount of dana received is decreasing. And so Sangha Live is actually in quite a tight spot financially at the moment. And one that we really need to turn around sometime soon, because otherwise it'll go under, right? We'll lose money. So I don't say that to alarm you, but just to remind you that there's a mutuality to that. So we're trying to support you the best we can, and it's wonderful that there's a couple of hundred of you here sitting together in the morning. And the request then is to please support us the best you can. And your dana your dana, your offerings, are very, very directly what allows us to keep supporting you. They offer support to me as the teacher this week. They support Sangha Live as a platform with all of its costs and complexities, and they allow this to keep happening. So if you're able to offer support and you're moved to offer support, wonderful. Please do offer support. And here comes the link from George in the chat. Look at that for good timing. Thank you, George. So yeah, just to appreciate the support that you offer, and to sort of remind us all collectively, myself included, how important that is, and how beautiful it is that we can do it like this. Like, we would so much rather be offering it like this rather than as some kind of transactional or subscription based model. So thank you for your support in that way. All right, let's see. What questions might you have? What might we get into? I don't see any. So let's see. Nice to Lynn to hear your appreciation, and for these 5 years of sitting here in the mornings, yeah, and all the ways it enriches your life. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. Okay, well, for now, I just see some thanks and appreciation. That's lovely to hear. If there are no questions, then no problem. I do see down in... Yeah, I do see that there's a thing here that says Marjorie has raised their hand. I'm not sure if that was intentional or accidental, Marjorie, because it's been there for a long time, your hand. So let me know if it's intentional. Oh, there's a question box. Oh, here we go. Madeline says, how do I bring this state of being of a unified field into my everyday life? There seem to be two me's, me doing life and me meditating. Good. So, Madeline, where do the two me's, right? It's not uncommon, right? You can experience all this. You can experience. Some will say you're lucky. There only seems to be two, rather than many, right? So we can emphasize what seems different between, oh, here's me when I'm meditating, that seems a bit collected and sane and kind of grounded and clear, and then there's me in my life where I easily get lost or distracted or stressed or whatever. Okay, so those two might seem, me in meditation, so-called, and me in the rest of my life might seem quite different. And if we emphasize the differences, and it's different. Sitting quietly doing nothing is different than, answering the telephone while trying to do your work and while cleaning the house, feeding the kids, I don't know, whatever complexities, thinking about friends, making plans, etc. But what's not different? What's not different between the two different senses of me? Or another way to ask that same question, where do both senses of me, and in fact all possible senses of me, where do they happen? Where do they happen? Where does the sense of me, however it is, me in meditation, me in my life, me with my partner, me alone, me in activity, etc., etc. Well, where do all senses of me arise? So mostly my encouragement is just to find that out and stay there. Or at least, even if you don't have the sense of staying there, it's like, enter into the place where all senses of self arise. Of course, place isn't the right word, it's not a place. So I'll give you a clue as to where that is. Maybe it's sort of obvious to you, but it's here, isn't it? And here in awareness. Here in the living moment of experience. Within this living moment of experience, within this unified field, all kinds of impressions can happen, and then I have all kinds of ways of habitually identifying with them, and I make up all kinds of stuff about self and world and here and there and this and that. And it's not that all those things are wrong, they're perfectly appropriate for moving around the world. But there's a deeper way in which they're all just, they're just reflections or refractions, right, within what we could call the mirror of awareness. They're just waves, to use a classical image, arising and passing in an ocean of awareness. And like Leonard Cohen beautifully said, if you don't become the ocean, you'll be seasick every day. Right? If all we've got is the waves, if we're buffeted by the waves, if we identify with the waves, right, and then we end up worrying about the different kinds of waves, and this wave and that wave, and the wave of me in meditation, and the wave of me in the rest of life, etc., etc. So, what is it to become the ocean, right? Or another way of saying that, just to keep coming back to where all the differences seem to be, the different senses of me, and the bits I like and the bits I don't like, and the bits where I feel peaceful, and then and then the bits where I feel agitated. Where's the heart of it all? Where's the origin of it all? Where's the rest in the midst of it all? Where's the non-differentiation that underpins it all? And let your practice, both in meditation and in any other moment of the day, regard any moment, any activity, any situation, and be one of feeling for and settling into and abiding as the place where all seeming differentiations arise and fall like waves in the ocean. All right. Thank you, Madeline. Andrea says, I appreciated the invitation to sense a unified field and realized how I switch channels between different aspects of experience. Yeah, what I also noticed is how when invited to soften, I feel a wellspring of deep sadness that's hard to be with. And like the field will be flooded. Yeah. So it's very common, actually, Andrea. A couple of things that are very common in that. Very common to notice that we maintain a certain kind of tension or hardness as a defense against a sort of vulnerability. Right? And then when we soften that defensiveness and we touch into that vulnerability, it feels like, it's made of grief in some way or sadness. And then further, that if we let ourselves actually feel that sadness, it will engulf us. It's as if it's bottomless. It's as if I let myself feel it, I will drown in it. It will annihilate me. There's too much of it. It's endless or bottomless. So, good news is that's not true. It's not endless or bottomless. Right? But it is very common, almost universally common, I would say, to feel that way on the way in to whatever storehouse we have, let's say, of unresolved sadness, grief, hurt, loss. And we all have one of those. We all have a storehouse of unresolved pain and loss. So good news is it's not endless. Secondly, if you let yourself go through that, the belief on the way in is this will be too much. I won't be able to feel it. The reality as you enter into it is actually it's relieving. It's relieving to feel it. It's still sad. It's something painful, poignant, tender. But the truth is it's more of a relief to feel it. Because in the feeling it, we start to see, how much hard work it's been all my life. Going around putting so much effort into trying not to feel it. Trying to distract from it. Trying to defend against it. So actually that grief or loss or sadness or pain is a treasure. And I know I can't just convince you of that. Right? You have to dare to go there, but you don't have to go there all at once. Then that would increases the sense of it being too much. Let yourself go there as if you're touching into a treasure house. Right? but it's like, oh, it's tender to feel it. And if it starts to be too much, just come back. So you can choose where you take your attention. Right? So oh, it's too much. Okay, go. Just bring your attention out to a wider sense, right? A wider field. A field where you're attending more to the sounds, for example, that give a sense of space. Oh, and then if you recover some sense of space and ease, and you might come back a little bit. Oh, tender, etc., etc. So you get familiar with that field of that. You get familiar with that sense of sadness that's part of that field, and then it becomes resolved over time, and then there's no more storehouse, no more unresolved pain, and then increasingly softening feels like pleasure, actually. Pleasure, ease, relaxation, openness, undefendedness. Oh. All right, thank you. So I see there's a few questions and I may not have time to get through all of them. So you can always just paste them back in again tomorrow because they're some good, important questions. Let's have a look. Alex says, meditation usually feels like a task, a chore. How can it be something to look forward to? Well, one of the ways, Alex, is just to sort of reframe. It's good that you're noticing, right, that we easily make it into, I've got to meditate. Oh, I should meditate. Oh, God, okay. Then, I didn't meditate today. So it's like you might just framing it as, rather than seeing it as a thing to add to your to-do list, this thing you're supposed to do for your spiritual well-being or whatever, rather to see it as a moment where you get to put the to-do list down, to put the tasks down. There's nothing that's supposed to happen in meditation. You're not supposed to have a good meditation. It's like, see it as a sigh. And you might really begin your meditation that way. And let yourself really connect with and feel the sense of putting down the burden of the tasks, the burden of the to-do list, the burden of all the things you're supposed to get right, the burden of all the stuff you have to do. Oh, you don't know, none of that has to come to meditation. And then surprisingly, you might find that that same quality of nothing you have to do might start to run into the other areas of life, even into the to-do list. And our fear is, if that was to do the case, I would become dysfunctional or non-operational. I'd just live my life on the sofa, on the couch, and never do anything. But it's not true. Actually, we can become quite active and dynamic and efficient, but the feeling inside is not doing anything. Even in the midst of a quite engaged, busy, active life, the feeling can be not doing anything, just receiving, right? Attuning to this field of experience and letting the responsiveness come. Receptive and responsive. All right, friends, I think we're at the end, but my computer's about to fall off again. I don't know why it keeps sliding like that today. If there were questions I didn't get to, then hey, please feel free to just ask them again tomorrow. Please feel free to show up again tomorrow and every other day this week. Please feel free to nourish your practice, nourish the heart. So thank you for your presence and your practice today. Thank you for your support and your offerings of dana. Thank you for all the messages of kindness that you exchange in support of one another. Thank you, George, for hosting. Go well through the day. See you tomorrow.